Accurate Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. A Ukrainian drone attacked a town in western Russia, which is home to one of the country's biggest nuclear power stations. Though there was no damage reported to the plant, Russian officials said. Governor Roman Starovoit said a Ukrainian drone had damaged the facade of a building in the town of Kurchatov, just a few kilometers from the Kursk nuclear power station. Early on Friday, he had earlier said there were two drones, but clarified his remarks. The Soviet-era Kursk nuclear power station has the same graphite-moderated reactors as the Chernobyl nuclear plant. An explosion and fire at the Chernobyl plant in 1986 in then Soviet Ukraine was the world's worst nuclear accident, spreading radiation across Europe. Currently, 3 RBMK-1000 reactors in Kursk are operational, with one shut down. According to Russia's State Nuclear Corporation, Russia and Ukraine have in the past accused each other of plotting to attack the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station in Ukraine. Russian troops seized the station, Europe's largest nuclear facility, with 6 reactors in the days after the Kremlin ordered the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Hundreds of flights were cancelled on Friday in China's populous Guangdong province and neighboring Hong Kong ahead of Typhoon Saola's arrival, with the powerful storm forcing some mainland cities to close businesses, schools, and even financial markets. 3 tropical cyclones have formed in the Northwest Pacific Ocean and South China Sea. Saola and Haiku were labeled typhoons, while Kirogi, the most distant from land, was still classified as a tropical storm. Saola, packing winds of more than 200 kilometers per hour, will make landfall in Guangdong, which encompasses Hong Kong. It could be among the 5 strongest typhoons to hit Guangdong since 1949, Chinese authorities warned on Thursday. Saola could make landfall on Friday night or Saturday morning as a severe typhoon along the coast between the cities of Huidong and Taishan. China's National Meteorological Center said Hong Kong and Macau lie in the center of that coastline. Weather conditions will deteriorate rapidly as the typhoon makes landfall, the Hong Kong Observatory said, with storm surge potentially reaching around 3 meters higher than the normal tide. In some areas, all schools in Hong Kong were closed on Friday, despite being the first day of term for many. Singaporeans are heading to the polls in the city-state's first contested presidential election in 12 years, a vote being closely watched as an indication of support for the ruling party after a rare spate of political scandals. Observers said the result of Friday's vote could indicate the level of support for the ruling People's Action Party (PAP) ahead of general elections due by 2025, or public discontent after recent scandals that include the corruption probe into the transport minister and the resignations of 2 PAP legislators over an affair. In quote, the presidential election is increasingly being treated as a general election, Mustafa Izzuddin, a political analyst with consultancy Solaris Strategy Singapore, told the French news agency AFP. The PAP suffered its worst ever election performance in 2020 but maintained its more than 2/3 majority. The city-state government is run by the Prime Minister, currently Lee Hsien Loong of the PAP, which has ruled Singapore continuously since 1959. China stepped up measures to boost the country's faltering economy on Friday, with top banks paving the way for further cuts in lending rates, and sources saying Beijing plans further action, including relaxing home purchase restrictions as part of the support measures. Chinese authorities also reduced the amount of funds institutions need to hold in foreign exchange reserves. The measures cheered investors, and analysts said they should prevent a further downturn in the struggling property sector. China is grappling with a slowdown that has rattled global markets, with the spotlight now firmly focused on troubled developer country guarding spiraling debt crisis in a sector that contributes to roughly a quarter of the economy. As pressure mounts, the authorities have rolled out a series of measures to spur the economy and revive the property market, with steps including the easing of some borrowing rules and a cut to the amount of forex banks must hold as reserves. The country is said to take further action, including relaxing home purchase restrictions for people familiar with the matter said. The Philippines has imposed a price cap on rice as the Southeast Asian country grapples with some of the highest inflation in the region. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. signed an executive order capping prices in light of the considerable economic strain on Filipinos, particularly the underprivileged and marginalized, the presidential office said on Friday. Marcos Jr. set the maximum price for regular milled rice and well-milled rice at 41 Philippine pesos per kilogram and 45 pesos per kilogram, respectively, his office said. Marcos's office said the alarming rise in retail prices stemmed from illegal price manipulation, such as ordering by opportunistic traders and collusion among industry cartels in light of the lean season, as well as external factors including the war in Ukraine, India's ban on rice exports, and volatile oil prices. Marcos, who is also the agriculture minister, directed customs authorities to intensify inspections of rice warehouses to combat hoarding and illegal importation, and he ordered the competition watchdog to take action against cartels and merchants abusing their dominant market position. The inflation rate for rice in the Philippines rose from 1% in January 2022 to 4.2% in July 2023, according to the National Economic and Development Authority. The Philippines, where the top-bottom 30% of earners spend nearly 60% of their income on food, has seen some of the steepest cost of living increases in Asia over the last year. That is the size of top accurate global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy weekend!